As we get closer to the November election, we know tensions are high across the country. Vice President Harris and former President Trump are locked in a tight contest. But you may not expect political protest to play out in a retirement community in Walnut Creek. But people living in Rossmoor say management is silencing their right to free speech. John Ramos was there as the senior citizens spoke out.
The Rossmoor retirement community in Walnut Creek is not known as a hotbed of political conflict. But after management imposed some new rules to preserve civility, some residents are saying their First Amendment rights are being trampled. More than 9,000 seniors live in Rossmoor, and they enjoy a peaceful, bucolic lifestyle. But that doesn't mean they're unaware of the problems of the rest of the world.
What do we want?
Free speech!
When do we want it?
Now!
On this morning, a group of residents gathered outside the front gate, protesting a new set of policies for the development intended to promote safety and civility. One of them prohibits any demonstrations on this corner. That's because for 4 years, Mary Ellen Ratcliffe spent 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, quietly holding signs promoting various social justice issues. She says she never meant to provoke anyone.
It wasn't as if I decided, oh, I'm going to stay out there for 4 years, look how brave I am. It was more like, well, it's another week and things look pretty horrible in the world. I better go out on my corner and get the happy smiles.
Then, a few weeks ago, a pair of women with differing political views got into a fight at the pickleball courts. So the managers, a group called Golden Rain Foundation, drew up new rules limiting the times, location, and frequency of demonstrations, prohibiting gatherings on Mary Ellen Ratcliffe's corner. They also banned political commentaries in the community newspaper and will censor provocative words from any of the articles, according to the protesters.
And we try to submit articles about Gaza, and they said, well, you know, you can't even, this was a couple months back, you can't even use the word Gaza because it's controversial.
They don't want any unpleasantness. Lots of people riding around in golf carts and going to the club meetings, not taking things like our civil liberties seriously.
In a written statement, GRF's general manager said, quote, the policy is meant to provide structure to the process rather than limit residents' ability to conduct demonstrations. But protest organizer Michael Goldberg says what they're really doing is treating the senior residents here like children.
They're infantilizing us with the idea that we can't, express ourselves, that they know better.
But these aren't just any senior citizens. This is the generation that hit the streets to protest the war in Vietnam and social injustice for women and minorities. These people remember what it was like to change the world.
Many people here were involved in protests in the Bay Area in the past, and they certainly haven't forgotten, although I think the GRF would hope that we have.
It's ironic. 50 years ago, they were considered young radicals. Now, in their 70s and 80s, they're still being told to get off our lawn.
Under the new policy, protesters must get a permit and are limited to one area with a maximum of 2 demonstrations per month. Signs displaying inflammatory content can be excluded as determined by the general manager. Rossmoor is in Contra Costa County. The California Secretary of State says 53% of registered voters are registered as Democrats, 22% are registered as no party preference, and 19% are registered Republican. So it's not clear the political makeup of Rossmoor. Rossmoor isn't the only place in Contra Costa County where there's been recent conflict over political speech. Political groups have actually been using the El Curtola overpass, it's in Lafayette, to share their message with drivers on Highway 24. And we've seen some pretty heated confrontations after the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Caltrans has posted a sign on the overpass saying it is illegal to post flags and signs without a permit.